Welcome to the Concert Queen Connect. This is going to be a solo episode. We are going to talk about something that has been weighing heavy on my heart. It has been a long time coming. There have been a series of events that have not only happened to me, but to friends. And it's something that just we need to talk about. We need to address it. And I honestly feel like it's gotten to the point where I can't even move forward until I put this out and talk about it, because a lot of the stuff and a lot of things you see, like, granted, yes, I love having fun. I love drinking. I love having, a glass of wine and talking with artists and musicians and people in the industry. However, there are some serious topics that have come up on this show as I take a sip. And these serious topics have ranged anywhere. This has definitely been an evolution. It's something that has, from the beginning to now, just in this podcast alone, there have been like these mini therapy sessions within some of the conversations that I've had. Talking with May Lott, we talked about our body issues and the things that we have overcome to get to where we are today. Talked to Curtis Rausch about a sexual assault that I experienced. And there's just been numerous things that have come up, and we've had some pretty in-depth conversations about it. There are some things recently that have come up within this last month. And there's kind of two parts to this. There's twofold. And I really hope that you watch this or listen to this all the way through to the end. It's very important, especially for men to hear, women to hear, men. I want you to know this is definitely going to be aimed at the people that are not they're the bad apples of that particular demographic. But I want you also to know that I don't just generalize it. Yes, I am a feminist. I will always preach women's rights and cheer and be the biggest hype woman for any woman out there. But I also am just as appreciative and a hype woman for men, and to live their truth, but also knowing that men, I'm speaking to you, you have sisters, mothers, daughters, best friends, girlfriends, wives. And unfortunately, for most of these women, they have experienced some of the things that I'm going to talk about. But I understand, and I don't have this crazy huge platform, but yes, I do have a platform. And I felt very compelled to talk about this, because if I didn't talk about this, it just lingers. And I feel like there's just been this, with events coming back and music festivals about to come full swing, like every single weekend, we need to talk about this. And it needs to be something that not only we're going to talk about some things, but we got to look out for each other. You have to know that this is going on. And there are just some things that maybe, if this even affects one person, if this helps somebody and letting them know that they're not alone, if this prevents somebody from doing something that they shouldn't be doing, or thinking twice about it. That's all I want you to do. There's just a lot that is going on right now. And I recently did a shoot with Vinyl Ranch. Shout out Vinyl Ranch and Vinyl Ranch. I did this shoot, and in this whole shoot, it was a Playboy-esque style, very artistic, very creative shoot. But there was parts of me, I was naked, and that was not something that just happened overnight. That wasn't something that I had ever thought I could do. I kind of told the story. So for some of y'all that may have missed it, back in the day when I first started kind of a music blog with my best friend at the time, we were so self-conscious about ourselves, and we were not able to sit in front of a camera or get in front of a camera, take photos of ourselves. we were so self-conscious about ourselves. I couldn't even literally look in the mirror. We were trying to do like a photo shoot in the hotel bathroom. And that was my first photo that I ever really took. And I showed that to some people. And it was the most awkward photo shoot because I had no idea. We had no idea what we were doing. And just the evolution to get to where I am today, from having panic attacks, from suffering from body dysmorphic disorder and being diagnosed with that. So body dysmorphic disorder is when you look in the mirror, you see something that is not the case. Like I would look in the mirror and just thought I saw a whale. And people talk to me and they're like, oh, you shouldn't feel like that. And why would you think that? And it's not anything that you can really understand. It's mental health. It's how I saw myself and how I viewed myself and how I was kind of conditioned growing up and feeling ashamed of my body, feeling unable to be proud of who I was and how I looked, and went through a lot with that. That's not something that, like, people look at me now or they see the photos or they see these things and that's the end result. But there's so much that goes into those things. And like I said, the journey that went in behind that. And I have been the queen literally of being uncomfortable for the last 4 years of just throwing myself into these situations and literally blazing my own trail. There has never been any type of playbook for what I'm doing. There hasn't been any specific route that people tell me to take. Everything that I've done, everything that I've achieved, or these milestones that I've gotten to, have all been my own doing. And, you know, paving the way for whatever comes my way, if that has been some type of support for other females and other women out there, that has made it all worthwhile. And that's literally why I do the majority of the things. I don't have to talk about this today. I don't have to share my real personal, intimate details and be super vulnerable like I have been, but I choose to do it because I know that if this can help at least one person, that it was worth it. And that's what drives me. That's what pushes me to do the things that I'm doing. And that's what pushes me to move forward. And also to show people that you can overcome it and that it's not something, like I've mentioned before, that's going to define you. But all that being said, you know, I worked up to this point and I it's coming up on a birthday and I was asked to do this shoot. And I chose to do it for the simple fact that at my age and what I was coming up to on this other milestone, I realized that, wow, I still have this same anxiety. I still feel the same ugly way. I still feel ashamed. I don't want to disappoint people. I don't want people to think of me and think that I'm a slut or slut shame me or be like, oh, because I think that's, and I mean, I'm not innocent of that either. I believe that I probably used to think like that as well. And I used to, and it came because I was envious. I was envious and jealous of the women that were able to be so confident in their bodies and being so out there and putting themselves out there regardless of the positive or negative feedback. And it's so much easier to just be like, yeah, look at her, you know, just wanting all this attention, when innately I was just jealous because I was unable to do that. And I can say that that's probably how I was in the past. It's definitely not how I am now. I am the first person to hype any woman up to be so excited for a female to really kind of step into her own and her womanhood. And for the fact too of like, she's doing it for herself. I do think there's a fine line that a lot of people, especially a lot of women, walk when it comes to wanting attention and validation. I used to be there as well. And there's going to be a story as well that I mentioned that. And everything that I'm talking about, these are just natural human emotions. They're not things that I feel that I'm exempt from as well. I have already been through these things. I've journaled these things. I've talked through these things. I've been to therapy for these things. I've done some self-reflection on these things. So I definitely know that I am not, I'm not without any kind of, I'm not holier than thou. I don't think I'm above anything. I just know that I've been through these things. So that's why I can speak to them. And it's also, I know I've talked about this, but I'm a certified life coach. So I've done the work. I've been to therapy. I've gone through all of these modalities to get to where I am now. So that's why I'm able to really kind of pick up human behavior and learn from things and move on from those things because I've done the work. And it has not been an easy road. It's been something that has been very difficult. Like I said, I wouldn't wish a lot of these things on anyone. And I know in that same breath that there's just as many more horrible things that could have happened that didn't happen. So I'm very grateful for these moments to bring me to where I am today. Again, they're not things that I wish upon anyone or want anything to happen, but I want everyone to know that they're not alone, and I want to prevent this from happening. I want to just talk about this and just have an open discussion about it. So like I said, I did this shoot and I did it with the intention of for myself. I did it for self-love. I actually did a practice shoot with Cynthia Dawn. Shout out Cynthia Dawn. I love you. She is a photographer that I've worked with that's really helped build my self-esteem. And I've worked with, again, when I auditioned for Sports Illustrated, I went to California. I went to Newport Beach, and I worked with a photographer there that was a posing coach for swimsuit models. So I learned how to pose. She taught me so much in those 2 hours, 3 hours, however long we shot, and it was exhausting. But I put myself in that situation. I almost had a panic attack before I went there. A lot of you remember that moment. And it was one of those times that I really overcame something in myself. But all of those things I've done for myself. I've never done this for anyone. And like I said, that was back in 2019. And so then kind of leading up to, we all know how 2020 went, much more quiet. There was never something, I always kind of made the joke that if like Playboy or Maxim reached out, that I would, that's what I would do. That's where I drew the mark. Cause I never jumped on the OnlyFans bandwagon. I never really went down that route. I do have a Patreon, and that Patreon does have, shout out my own Patreon. It does have bonus content on there, and it does allow me a way to express myself in ways that where people want to see bonus content. They want to see, and when I say bonus content, I mean other photos of myself. They want a more in-depth personalized look. They get to see, they're part of my close friends. We build a relationship and a friendship, and it's different. And that's how I look at it. It's not OnlyFans. It's not, and I'm not knocking OnlyFans at all. I think it's great. It's just my personal, what I'm building and what I'm doing does not necessarily fit with that. Maybe it will in the future, who knows? But at this time, that's not what I'm doing. I'm very happy with my Patreon and what I'm doing there and the people that want to support me and that are part of that. When I did these photos, so like I said, I shot with Cindy, and there was a point where we shot and we were in this beautiful place called the Dallas Doll House. And I only had 30 minutes left actually to shoot in this beautiful space. And I had to tap out. It was a lot for me. It was a lot to be naked, be vulnerable, be nude, however you want to paint it. But it was a lot for me. And it wasn't easy. And I was even in front of someone that I knew. But I knew that I had this vinyl raunch shoot coming up, and I did not want to have those panic attacks. I didn't want to feel a certain way in front of all of those people. And I knew that I was going to have to desensitize myself. So I knew I would have to move forward with it and really push myself. So after shooting with Cindy and learning more of my angles, learning more photos, and seeing how I looked, that really gave me the confidence to keep moving and move forward to this shoot that I did. And, I trained, I worked out, I ate right, made all the sacrifices. I stopped drinking wine, stopped all the late night partying. And I will say that lifestyle is not for me. I am a person that likes to eat pizza and junk food and wine and go out late night. But I'm also a person that is very disciplined. So when I set a goal, I'm going to reach it. And I think there's a happy balance there, definitely. But that's what I personally experienced. But when I did this shoot, I felt better in my own skin than I'd ever have. And I knew when I did that shoot that I did everything that I possibly could have done for myself. And I felt really good about it. So when I did the shoot and I shot with this team, and there's about 10 people total like in this room, shot, and I think I was just so in the zone that I didn't even have time to feel self-conscious. And it comes across in the photos as well. And that is something I will say, as people know when you're taking photos, how you feel and how you come across, that definitely the camera doesn't lie and it sees everything. So very, very important. But got through the shoot, and it was about like a 7-hour shoot. It was supposed to only be 3 hours, and it extended a little longer than it needed to. So thank you, Coconut Club and Neon Grotto, for letting us do that. So did the shoot, felt really good about it. I wanted to shoot with this particular photographer, with this stylist, with this team, and everybody was incredible. And I could not have been more happy with my demeanor, with how the photos came out, and my own personal journey with it. It was never about, so all of these went onto a different platform than my Patreon. This was not something that I had any say in. When I had the conversation, those photos, it was about doing it for me. It was not about money. It was not about anything like that. It was about this experience, this opportunity to conquer something that I need to conquer for myself. Now, kind of the aftermath of that is, shot these photos. And of course, that was the next part is now you have to share them with the world. And I knew it was like, damn, the whole world is now going to have access to see me naked at some point. And that's an unsettling feeling when your parents, your family, the people that have known you for a very long time, especially, and I come from a very traditional Mexican family where that's not the norm. But this was the other part to it, of really pushing myself like, okay, we did it, and we did it for ourselves. Go us, go me. And now we're going to share these photos with the world. They're going to be shared. So as these photos began to get released, and, Vinyl Ranch began to share them on their OnlyFans and do these different things with, promoting my photos, there's obviously new followers that you receive, and there's that attention, and that comes with it, and that territory that I was entering that I knew was going to come with it, which is, again, totally fine. I respect it. But at the end of the day, those photos are very artistic to me, regardless of how they're viewed by other people. But like I said, it wasn't something like, when you look at the photos, I'm very proud of them, and I feel very confident that they're sexy and sophisticated and classy, and they're not like something really outlandish and crazy. But I do encourage females to express themselves, and I did it for myself, and I did it as an expression of self-love to me. And I'm so proud of those photos. I'm so proud that I did it. I think I kind of blacked out in the middle of it. And it's one of those things where you look back and you're like, wow, did I do that? Did I really do that? And I did. And with that, I do feel I'm very fortunate that the platform that I have and the men that follow me and women have been very supportive. But I do feel like I've had people be like, oh, you don't have to explain yourself to anyone. And I feel like I do, because I feel like it helps people understand me. I want to know. I am just an inquisitive person in general. So I always felt kind of disingenuous by just posting photos and not giving people a background as to why I did it or what was going on. And that's what makes me the happiest. So for me, I shared that kind of journey of what I went through to get to that point. And like I said, I'm very fortunate that the male and female followers have been super freaking supportive. So shout out to y'all. Thank y'all so much, because I can't tell you how much that means to me. It really does mean a lot. And I think it's very difficult, especially as a female. I think that's what I was the things I was the most worried about, because I lost so many followers when female followers back when I did the Sports Illustrated shoot. So I was worried about this. I was like, am I going to lose another, God, it was 500 followers? Who knows what I was going to lose? And to a lot of the people that talk to me in my DMs and the messages, they're like, you know what? So what? They're not for you. And they're right. But like I said, was very fortunate that I did the shoot and I did it with the intention that I did. So my goal ever since I did what I learned, one of my biggest takeaways, I think, during like Black Lives Matter and that whole, like during content and trying to figure out what to post and how to support and do these different things, was that people are going to have opinion regardless of anything that I do and anything you do. Always going to have an opinion, positive or negative. And so it's like, you might as well just do what you want to do and what's going to be the most authentic and genuine to you, which is what I have done. And I've lived since that moment. And I think that's probably one of the most transformative moments for me in 2020, was learning that and really grasping that it doesn't matter what the negative people are going to say, the haters, and it doesn't even matter what the positive people say. It's a matter of being neutral and being able to take the good with the bad and staying on a steady course of self-love for me. And that's what took me a very long time up into this shoot to get to the point of self-love. And damn, to really just love yourself and really look at who you are as a person and put yourself first, which feels selfish, but it's really not, because you can't do these things for other people if you're not looking out for yourself. If you're putting other people's opinions ahead of yours, you are going to be unhappy. Newsflash. If you're trying to control somebody else, you go back to the 4 agreements, Domingo Ruiz. If you're trying to control someone's actions, making assumptions about what they're thinking, you are on the road to unhappiness, and you can't live like that. It's the road of, how do I feel? What's going to honor me? Why am I feeling like this? What is triggering this reaction in me? And really doing the work on yourself. And I've had the fortune, I've been very fortunate to have these different tools from life coaching and from just the years of therapy and going through the different things that I've been through to know how to manage these emotions and to go through these things. So take these photos and begin to post and begin to share and began to become okay with sharing these photos. And as I did that, like I said, of course, I'm proud of them, and I've learned to accept the compliments, which is always very difficult. In another sense, is to accept any kind of compliment. People say I am humble, and I believe I'm humble. I do think that I've never had any type of complex, and I'm always surprised when people come up to me and they give me any kind of compliment, because when you love something and you're so passionate about it and people resonate with something you're saying, it means the world to me, especially because I love it so much and I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. And I think for going through 2020 without getting any type of feedback, I was just kind of going and doing what I thought to hear, like, oh, wow, I love your podcast, or, oh my God, I love when you did that, or I love that shoot that you did, or I love that time that you posted about this and you went to that event you did. And I met my friends through that, or I met my boyfriend. And to be able to be any kind of catalyst to affect someone's life in a positive way is my ultimate goal. So coming upon these photos being released, I started to get a lot of DMs, and a lot of them women, a lot of them men. And the men, it is social media, and granted, I'm sharing these things. I'm not DMing these photos directly to people. I'm not putting them, I'm posting these, but in the effort to promote the shoot, to promote the different people I did, as well as to promote myself. I'm proud of these photos. And I think they're very artistically well done. But I started to get a lot of unsolicited messages, pictures from men that were completely unwarranted. And I don't want to see that. And no woman wants to see that. No woman wants any type of unsolicited picture, especially of like vulgar nature, that it's not attractive. It's not a platform. It's not warranting me posting those photos and putting myself out there, given the sense that I'm doing it. And I know there's a lot of people that don't follow me or have never followed me, and they're just seeing these photos for the first time. They form their own opinion, and they felt like, oh, she's taking photos like this, I can send her photos like this. No, it's never okay to do something like that or to approach a woman like that, especially in DMs. And there's always consequences to that. And I know that there are women that have been attacked, very verbally attacked, and ugly things when you do not reciprocate their advances. And that's happened to me before. And that's not my problem. Again, like I was telling you, I have found myself in this nice equilibrium of being able to accept the good with the bad. But I do know this happens to other females where you don't accept one of their advances or male advances through online or social media, and they've been attacked, and that's not okay. But it is what it is, and that exists. So men, if you're out there, the ones that are not supporting in the right way, or not admiring the art, or not looking at a female for herself, putting herself out there to feel good about herself. And she took a really nice photo. She feels really good about it. And if it's a picture of her butt, hey, her butt looks really fucking good. She wants to show it, as she should. Let her. But unless she is purposely trying to get your attention, and granted, like I said, I think there are a lot of females that do these things for attention. And I'm speaking to the females that are stepping into their own womanhood, essentially, with this. But those are the women that it's not okay. Please don't do that. If you're thinking about it, it's not warranted. It's very repulsive. It's not okay. So let's not do it anymore. The second part to this podcast and this show is something that really angers me. And it should anger you as well, because I know this has happened to someone that you know. And I had a friend, I've had two friends actually recently that have gotten roofied on a night out. And thank God they were okay, those particular friends. But it pissed me off, because who in their right mind thinks that that's okay to do, to touch a woman, to drug her? I personally, and this is something that I have not shared, and this is what I want to talk about. I've personally been roofied 3 times. And the last time was probably, they were all equally as bad. The last time was most recently in January of 2021. And I felt a lot of shame around it. I was so embarrassed, because here I was around friends and around someone that there was this guy, these 2 guys that I was just meeting, that I wanted to just be friends with, and I wanted to hang out with more. And I really enjoyed their energy and their vibe. And I was so embarrassed that they saw me in that state. And even though it wasn't my fault, I was just like, wow, these people don't even know me. This is their first impression of me. My 2 friends that recently were roofied, took them a long time to recover. Not only do you have to recover from that mentally, psychologically, physically, but this has happened when I was sharing my friend's story with different people. It was overwhelming how many women that this has happened to. And that is why I wanted to talk about it. Because, and again, I'm not speaking to the guys out there that are looking out for their friends, but I'm telling you this because this is going on, and you have to help other people be better. I want to normalize the fact that it's okay to speak up. If you see something, you have to say something. You have to say something. This is not okay. And if you know someone that's done this, or you've been the person that's done this, why? I guess that's the thing. And I know there's not a right answer for this. One of the things I remember one of my therapists told me is, you can't make rational, irrational behavior. So I don't know why you're doing it. You have your own intention. What I want to talk about are the 3 times that I was roofied, the 3 different kinds of profiles of people. And I want women to look out for yourself. This sucks. Yes, I know. I want to be out there with you. I go out to as many events, and I know the guilt that comes around when things like this happen, or God forbid that something really, really bad happens. Rape, assault, anything. 1 in 5 women in college have been sexually assaulted, and 1 in 6 women have been raped. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. And that is, you can literally talk to any, and this is where I'm saying men, this is your sister, your friend, your girlfriend, your wife, your ex-girlfriend, your mom, your daughter. This can happen to anyone, and it's very unfortunate. The times that it happened to me, the very first time it happened, I actually had just gotten back from Fire Festival, which, if you've seen that podcast, the emotional kind of roller coaster that was. But I had just gotten back. I was going to meet up with a guy that I was seeing at the time. We were just dating, nothing formalized, but I go to meet him at a bar on the east side of Austin. And I remember this guy who apparently followed me at the time, or knew who I was. And this was when I don't even remember if I really started my I can't really remember at the time, but he was this loner. He was by himself. And I remember he just kept staring at me, and he was watching me. And I just remember him and looking, and I was like, why does this guy keep looking at me? Why is he watching me? Why is he kind of lingering around? So call him the lingerer. He was just lingering around, kind of hovering around me. So if there is someone that you see that is you have to be aware of your surroundings as a female. It's just the reality of the situation. It sucks. It freaking sucks. Trust me, I get it. That's just how we have to. That is the reality of the situation. And that is why I'm saying, men, help us not have to feel so on guard, intense. And you can do that by also looking out for other females around you. This particular hoverer was just hovering around. I remember being at the bar, and he'd just be a couple feet away, but just by himself, and just kind of hovering around my friends and I. And that night, I blacked out. Don't remember anything because of the roofie. And my friends told me, they had to literally kind of carry me into the taxi because there was not a way they said I was literally just dead weight. And that is the same story that my friends and the other 2 stories have said. And that's, seeing other people, I was just dead weight to them, that they didn't understand. And how is she so drunk? What's going on? And like I said, I say that to watch out for the hoverer, because that is the person that did that to me. And I know what he looks like. So if I ever saw this asshole again, I would know exactly what he looks like. Fortunately for me, I have not seen him, but that happened. And my friend, we knew the very next morning that I had been drugged, and it was not okay. And I was another instance of me being embarrassed and thinking that, how did I let this happen? Or how did this happen to me? And that was just from me. I was a place, again, on the east side that I thought was safe. And it was safe. It wasn't. That's another thing, is that as venues, they've been through a lot. Promoters have been through a lot. Artists, musicians, patrons, we've all been through a lot. Safety has always been paramount to everyone. So I want people to know too that this was not on the venues. This was not on the promoters. This was not on anybody besides that. But this is where, if we can prevent these things from happening in the future, if you see something like this, if you see a situation, if you see a creepy guy just kind of lingering around your friends or being weird, you have every right to move away and ask for him to remove himself from the situation from you. So that was the first situation. The second situation was, ironically, I was on a date at the time. I went to a show and I had met up with this guy who I knew was going to be leaving. to go meet up with his friends. And he went with me to the show. We're hanging out. We're having a couple of drinks. I think we had like 2 drinks. And he left. He's like, okay, I'm going to go. And he went to go meet up with his friend from out of town. How true that was, I don't even know. But he left. And these 2 out-of-towners, these 2 guys from California, they were from LA, came up to me immediately. They swooped in and very charismatic. They saw that I was alone. I was obviously feeling vulnerable because I'd just been left by my date, the guy that I had invited, and he left. And I was there by myself, looking the way that I thought, I was ready for a date, felt really sexy, felt really good. And these 2 guys, literally from out of town, swooped in and were like, oh, I would never leave you. I would never walk away from a girl like you, and just really buttered me up in the sense of like, and I took it. I listened to it. So that's what I'm saying. I was just as receptive to those advances and trusting of them, and was like, oh, these guys, and they're good looking guys. I was like, oh, these guys are really nice. And I was going to another party after that and invited them. Hey, do you guys want to come with me to this party? My ego's getting inflated a little bit because now I have these like 2 good looking guys that I'm walking to this party with. I just got left from a date. We go into this party and those guys asked me, I've known these guys for less than an hour, and they asked me if I want a drink. I said yes. They gave me a drink. Gone. I remember out of the corner of my eye seeing one of the guys just staring at me and watching me. And I knew the next morning that that's what had happened, because I was completely out of my mind. I had friends around me, and I don't remember seeing that guy anymore, but I remember going to an after party and going to these different things, and same situation next morning, just being completely I forgot everything. I didn't know what happened. So trusting, yes, but we've all been there, where we meet out of towners and you want to connect, especially in that type of vulnerable situation. The 3rd time and the last time that this happened was January of this year. I went to a show and I was with, I'd say like 10, 12 of my friends, a big group. And I had not gone anywhere. I went to meet up with them at a, pregame at one of their houses. And I had been somewhere else the night before, but I didn't have anything to drink until I got there. I had maybe like, I don't know, a seltzer or something. Go to the bar for this show. And I probably had 2 drinks when I was there. And there was an instance where these guys and just continued. There was this group, this cluster of guys. I'd say there's like 3 or 4 of them. And they were so persistent. They were so aggressive, coming up to me, trying to talk to me. Hey, you're the HEX concert queen. No, you. And I just was like, hey, I'm here with my friends. I just want to hang out. As most females do, women do in general. If we're into you, we're definitely going to show you. But in that particular instance, I was just there to have a good time with my friends. And I just wanted to hang out, spend some time with them. And I was going to take, one of my friends was like, hey, let's take a photo together. Put my drink down. And I put it down, go and take this photo. I go back, but I had to like weave through these guys to get my drink. And I'd already had a couple drinks. And I knew as I grabbed it, I was like, there was that little voice in my head that said, you shouldn't drink this. And I drank it and gone. And my friends, because it was a mixture, half and half of girls and guys, they just surrounded me and they protected me. And they pointed out that this particular group of guys was just staring at me the whole time, watching me. And you guys, if you're watching this, you know who you are. It's fucked up. But they saw me. That happened. Same situation. My friends sat me down. They said I was just dead weight. They were trying to hold me up. people saw me and were like, wow, Clarissa, like you're really drunk. And I don't remember any of this, but obviously, like I said, I had been drugged. So these were the guys that were just super aggressive. In each of these situations, it could have been really, really bad. And things could have gone south had I not had great friends around me, if I didn't have a support system. None of these situations, as ashamed as I was that happened to me, none of these situations were my fault. It's not like I was the one who put the drugs in my drinks. And it doesn't make it okay to anyone. And I know from talking about this with other females, this has happened to so many other women, and it is not okay. And I don't understand the mentality behind it. And I feel like I had to talk about this even more so because of going back out into shows, back into festivals, back into events. You have to look out for yourself, and you have to be aware. Maybe you hadn't thought about this. Maybe you've already had this happen to you. Maybe you're already on guard, but regardless of it, needs to be talked about. And touching a female while she's out, while she's dancing, while she's in her safe space, that's what she should be doing, and honor that. I get it that now, we're in a time where you want to be out and you've been like a caged animal for men and women, but you have to respect people's personal space and their boundaries. And I felt like that was what was so great about, the quarantine period, and having people socially distance from each other was great for that reason. But now everyone's craving connection, physical and mental, and you have to really regulate and stop yourself and see, like, is this what's best for this person? Is this beyond just what I want? And I know this isn't going to fix everything. I know my stories are not unique, but this has happened to a lot of people. But I want you to know that this has happened to me. And it's 3 times is 3 times too much, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. However many times this happens to people, I definitely am way more aware of everybody. I'm very protective over my friends. They call me Mama Bear. I'm very protective over strangers as well, and females and women in general. And it does take a big person, takes a big personality sometimes to stand up to people that could potentially be doing harm to other people, but you have to do it. You have to stick up for others. You have to look out for them. You have to look out for other people. If there's even the slightest doubt in your mind, if you're thinking about something, or if you're questioning, what is this person's intention? What are they doing on the receiving and the other end? You have to really just look out for yourself. So I hope that, especially as we go back into nightlife culture and everything that's going on these days, we're already under a lot of stress. And I don't mean to add any more stress to you, but I do want to make you aware. Look out for each other. Look out for yourselves. Most importantly, be smart. Now there's even more crazy things out there in the world, and you just never know. So you have to look out for yourselves. You have to look out for others. Continue to step into your truth in a safe space, and continue to correct those people that are doing the things that they shouldn't be doing, and saying the things that they shouldn't be saying, and talking to you in a way that they should not. It has to be addressed. It has to stop. If this makes a slight dent in that, then I feel like this was worth it. But I wanted to share that. I wanted people to know, and I hope that this will prevent something from happening in the future, and this will definitely make someone else think twice about doing anything like this. So that is all for today. I know that was probably longer than I expected with this part 1 and part 2, but very necessary to talk about. And I really hope that this resonates with people from both sides. So thank y'all so much, and I will see y'all next week.